On 19th of January 1936, a boy named Alice, studying in 6th grade, wrote a letter to none other than great Albert Einstein asking a very interesting question. Do a scientist pray?
हरे कृष्णा। सब्सक्राइब करिए हमारे शिक्षार्थकम चैनल को और प्रेस करिए इसके बेल आइकन को ताकि अगली वीडियो सबसे पहले आप देख सकें। हरे कृष्ण।
Hi, my name is Shivam. I am an engineer graduated from Delhi Technological University, and in this video I am going to discuss, can a rational and scientifically minded person be spiritual as well? The interesting thing about the question asked by the Phyllis is the thought behind that question, that a person following spirituality must not be rational. Not only Einstein, but even today, many prominent scientists subscribing to some religion were asked the very same question in TV interviews, podcasts, or someone informally. So, why this age-old question is still there in the heads of the people? Why do people think that spirituality and rationality are contradictory to each other? Does every rational person be anti-spiritual? In this video, we are going to prove you that spirituality and rationality are actually complementary, not contradictory. First, we will discuss how this thought has been engraved in the mind of the people. Secondly, we will be discussing what is its impact on science and how useful it has been so far. So moving to our first topic, so how does the people have developed a default mindset towards the spirituality as something that cannot be followed by a person with the rational thoughts, and how the atheism seems more synonymous when we speak of science and rationality. See, I'm not generalizing that everybody thinks like that, but the point is that if this question is coming again and again, this means that somewhere or other this thought has been engraved in the mind of the people, though it may differ in degrees. The answer is we are actually systematically programmed to think like this. Just take for instance, we have studied theory of evolution, the theory of Big Bang, and these theories are actually being taught in our academic textbooks. In a nutshell, they say there is no non-material cause to this world and it is completely a product of chance and accident. But they, however, fail to explain how these material laws came into existence at the first place. Let me tell you very clearly that these theories are not proven at all. These theories are not even demonstrable, what to speak of proving. In fact, all endeavors in this world demonstrates anything but chance or accident as they proclaim to be the cause of this world. And that's why a large number of scientists have started to oppose it. Like, for example, Dr. W.S. Thorpe from the University of Cambridge, who is a professor there, states the likelihood of life occurring by chance is fantastically improbable. The spontaneous formation of life violates the second thermodynamic law, which states that all closed physical systems tend towards the maximum disorder. But still, without any evidence and proper authorization from scientific community, these theories are being propagated in our books as absolute truths, which is nothing but actually atheism in the garb of science. See, we are not opposed to speculative theories on life and existence being taught in school curriculum. This is the best the scientists have been able to manage with their own intellectual endeavor, which is to be respected. But what we are saying is the fact that these theories are speculative in nature should be highlighted. They shouldn't be falsely promoted as absolutes. This is misleading. This is how atheism is corrupting the education system. Now, speaking of the atheistic lobby and its impact on science, we have a very good example of Lawrence Krauss, who is a famous physicist and an atheist scientist. Krauss first claimed that no physicist had objected to his claims in the book. But then South African physicist George Ellis, when interviewed, had much to say about the absurdity of the Krauss claim. In the response to the Krauss claims, Ellis responded that what is presented by Krauss is not the tested science. It's just a philosophical speculation, which he apparently believes is so compelling that he does not have to give any specification of evidence that would confirm it is true. There were many objections put forward by George Ellis to the cross claims. And when the cross was interviewed about what the Ellis has been spoken, then the cross backtracked, seeing how his folly has been exposed, and he was very much insulted in that interview. So this is what the atheism is doing to the pristine branch of knowledge, science. It actually leaves our laughingstock behind it. See, it would have been one thing for the scientists to admit that they don't know. But the issue is that when atheists in the garb of scientists proclaim their atheistic theories, just like a Nobel laureate Steven Weinberg has stated in his book, The First 3 Minutes admits to a certain flaw in the academic system. Weinberg states, "I'm writing this book as if I know exactly what happened." Just like Alan Lightman has stated the Newton's quote in his book The Accidental Universe as, "Yet even Newton, master logician and reductionist, believed that the laws of nature were not sufficient to explain everything in the physical world." After many pages of calculations, Newton comes to the end of Principia, the Journal Scholium, and confesses that the synchronized performance of moons and planets could never be explained by mere mechanical causes, but requires the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. See, what we are saying that we should be open to the concept of God, as it is being stated even by the Stephen Hawking in his book The Brief History of Time. The overwhelming impression is one of order. The more we discover about the universe, the more we find that it is governed by rational laws. You still have the question, why does the universe bother to exist? If you like, you can define God to be the answer to that question. Isn't it worth considering that why such admission of these scientists are omitted from the academic text? The admissions of incomplete knowledge and biases of authors writing academic textbooks for students should be presented along with their theories, isn't it? Shouldn't the students be made aware of the limitation in the theories they are made to study and believe in? Blindly rejecting the concept of God creates a danger of killing inquiry, enthusiasm, and thirst for the scientific understanding and pursuit of the mystical amongst the scientists. It pollutes science, creating it from a field of open-minded and honest inquiry to one of indoctrination into the church of atheism. If you like this video, then please do subscribe to our channel and join our Telegram group for more such amazing videos. Thank you very much.